There's always just that attitude when defenders, I think, it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on. People deluded, I'm back again. As you can see in front of me, Arsenal closing in on £100 million deal for West Ham midfielder Declan Rice. Yeah, I know, people. You're probably sat there. I am the same, thinking, when is this going to be concluded? You know, and again, until it's signed, dotted, and sealed, until he's holding shirts saying, I used to love Thierry Henry growing up on Arsenal.com, anything can happen. But it does seem like we're moving closer. He is the early poster boy of Arsenal's transfer market. And to see Arsenal spend £100 million on a player is quite mad, really and truly. It's a good statement. Hopefully Declan Rice's fate, if he does sign for Arsenal, is a lot better than the last club record signing for our football club. He might be, because unlike Pepe, Arteta actually is going to sign this player if that's the case. Bid yet to be submitted, but club set to agree transfer fee. So that's positive. It shows that, you know, whatever channels have found out about this, we're in transfer crazy season where everybody's got a source, everybody knows the hairdresser's wife and the son of that wife and all of these things as to how they get this information. But when you look beyond the headline, no bid's been agreed yet, so there's no deal. Now clearly on the back burners, Edu, his team, Richard Garlick, the counterparts of West Ham are doing what they can. Arteta's probably done his bit. He's probably spoken to Declan Rice in some unofficial capacity, told him how what we're trying to do as a club, individually, how he can play and improve and have a great time at the club. Now it's down to Edu and his team and the counterparts of West Ham to reach an agreement. Once again, bid hasn't been accepted or agreed. So when you look past the headline, we're still in the same place. It's just another creative way, essentially, of saying the same thing. West Ham want financial add-ons to be included in a move. I can't blame them. He's 24, probably going to win some trophies at Arsenal. Might even do that for England. Going to develop as a player. I would want to cut as well. And I'm not criticizing Chelsea, but football's a fantastic game, isn't it? You know, football's a funny old game of opinions. Once upon a time, he was released by Chelsea. He's gone on to captain a club that's given him a home to a European trophy, and about to be, if this happens, our club record signing. It's a funny game. We've released players, you know. Andy Cole was at Arsenal once upon a time. Arsenal are close to agreeing a fee with West Ham for Declan Rice and are expected to pay more than £100 million for the midfielder if certain add-ons are achieved. Now, I think whether you think he's worth the money or not, this is the market. If you want these players, rightly or wrongly, you find probably not Declan Rice, because maybe English players isn't the best example, but their counterparts, the Caicedos of this world, the Lavias, all of these players that people like. You either find them before they become relative household names, or you pay the money, or the third option is crying. This is the market. Declan Rice isn't going to be the first, definitely not, and definitely isn't going to be the last player that you could argue if they're actually worth this price tag. You know, that's in my opinion, a bigger theme of football than Declan Rice. He can't control his price tag, and fundamentally, if you play to your capacity and better, nobody cares. West Ham have accepted they are going to lose Rice, and Arsenal are ready to make him the most expensive player in their history. A bid is yet to be submitted, but talks between the clubs are progressing smoothly, and there's confidence that a deal will be finalised soon. So that's great, but until a medical's booked, obviously he's on England international duty. Benjamin White, Saka, Ramsdale, you know, pressure him to get on the phone to his agent and get this done. Arsenal have made Rice their top target and will face no issues when it comes to personal terms. They're moving quickly in an effort to ensure the deal goes through without any hitch, and have been keen to pay about 90 million for the 24-year-old. West Ham want as much money as possible and have asked for add-ons. That would take the fee to more than 100 million. Arsenal's transfer record is 72 million for Nicolas Pepe in 2019. Sources believe the prospect of a rival club trying to sign the West Ham captain is receding. Great news for us. We saw what happened in January. Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Newcastle, Manchester United have looked at signing Declan Rice, but Arsenal, who are looking for ways to move out Pepe and Cedric Suarez, thank you. You know, they're both contracted for another year and they're on healthy wages, really and truly. Clearly, Cedric and Pepe's days are numbered. In theory, should be easier to move off Cedric than Pepe. Caught a bit of a stray in the article they did. As we know, and to be honest, if we're going to break our transfer record and pay 100 million, you know, if Arteta wasn't a fan of the player, that would set alarm bells ringing, wouldn't it, folks? Smash the like button, comment your thoughts throughout, etc. Mikel Arteta is a huge admirer of the England international and is determined to add him to his squad. Arteta believes Rice will be key to helping Arsenal to mount another challenge for the PL title and is prepared to make space for the midfielder by allowing Granit Xhaka Xhaka to join Bayern Leverkusen. Arsenal are also considering bidding for Brighton midfielder Caicedo, who's wanted by Chelsea, and are trying to sign Gundogan on a free transfer. Imagine we got all three. We'll do well to just get one. Rice is a big fan of Arteta's football and has rejected West Ham's attempts to keep him. David Solomon, West Ham's largest shareholder, said last week that the player had turned down a contract extension worth 200 grand a week. Rice signed off on a positive note, obviously, as he became a European champion with West Ham's victory against Fiorentina, and they have been linked with several replacements for Declan Rice, including Fulham's João Paulinho, James Ward-Prowse, and Ajax's Edson Alvarez, who was close allegedly to joining Chelsea a couple of windows ago. According to Football Transfers, Arsenal fear losing Caicedo to Chelsea as agent demands more money. I believe we'll lose out to Chelsea anyways. I can't begrudge the agent for wanting money or being greedy. You've got a client, more money for you. Agents typically work in percentage of the contract, percentage of whatever he negotiates in terms of transfer fees. Sometimes agents can earn several ways off the player and off clubs. It's a good lucrative game. Can't begrudge the agent for knowing his client's worth, which probably Caicedo didn't, when he initially moved to Brighton. Until last January, he was on little man money for a Premier League footballer. But for what it's worth, Arsenal fear losing Brighton midfielder Caicedo to Chelsea, with Football Transfer sources suggesting that money could be a decisive factor in the deal. Probably because Brighton want more achievable incentives and add-ons and just how they'll get their money, really and truly. I don't think Chelsea or Arsenal are going to flat out give 70 million. The bulk of this, or whatever it is, the bulk of the transfer fee will obviously be a lot of money up front. But like with Mudryk, maybe Chelsea's add-ons are more achievable or realistic. Allegedly, the Gunners have been chasing the 21-year-old since January, when they had everything set to complete a deal, with the exception of an agreement with Caicedo's employers. So no agreement. From their perspective, a deal was in place to be completed, assuming that all the same terms that were allegedly in place in January are there in the summer. Now basically, Arsenal have been expected to simply return to Brighton to match their asking price of 70 million for Caicedo this summer to sign the player, but Chelsea have become increasingly bullish over a deal, which has led to increasing fears that a second Mudryk situation is developing. The Blues did make a bid in January for the Ecuadorian star too, which was allegedly 50 odd million quid, but their bid was rejected. They appeared to pull out the running. Unlike London rivals, there were no discussions over personal terms or even informal talks over a move. Once their effort was knocked back, they simply pulled out of the deal, which could have been great, really. Chelsea are, according to Football Transfer sources, pushing very hard to complete a deal, having not shown their hand to the midfielder earlier this year. Arsenal are now concerned that the Stamford Bridge side will be able to persuade Caicedo to sign by offering him more money. It's thought that this could be a decisive factor in the players thinking. Can't begrudge him. He spoke in January of having 10 siblings coming from a poor part of Ecuador. Football is more than just a game. Yes, it's lucrative. Get your money, my guy, and plan for your career, or your life beyond your footballing years. Respect it. The further factor in the deal is that Caicedo's agent is reportedly seeking more money from the deal, with Chelsea looking likelier to match these demands than Arsenal. Football Transfer's understanding is that the agent is now pushing for the midfielder to pick Chelsea as his future club ahead of the Gunners. This situation is only going to increase the pressure on Edu, who is under pressure to deliver a big transfer window. Arsenal have gone for a position whereby they thought Caicedo was all but sewn up to being genuinely fearful that Chelsea are in a position to hijack the transfer, much as they did with Mudryk in January. What do you lot make of that? Let me know your thoughts, people. Ben Jacobs has said Chelsea and Arsenal will pursue Caicedo. Nothing too significant in Manchester United links. Man United, who tried to buy him when he initially went to Brighton. Understand it's going to take at least 70 million guaranteed plus 10 million in add-ons. No bids placed yet. So if it's guaranteed, that probably means they want it in more realistic terms. Are Arsenal going to give them 70 odd million odd quid up front, or do they reckon Declan Rice is where we spend our significance and we explore backup options? It'd be nice to have Caicedo because he can play as a six. If Partey isn't there, definitely with Xhaka going, we don't have really any sort of real physicality, higher class options in the middle of the park. And you've probably seen towards the latter end of the Premier League season, he can do a shift directly or indirectly at right back. Him and Declan Rice, or players of that profile, an 8 and a 6 in essence, would be great at the club. Ben Jacobs has followed up on that tweet, people, and said Brighton will let Caicedo leave, even though he's only signed a new deal recently, and are braced for offers. Despite 100 million being touted in January, feeling his fee will be lower. Those close to Caicedo still believe the fee Real Madrid paid for Tchouaméni should be the yardstick, because they'll probably get a lot more money. This is why you should keep your window closed at night, because there is a fly. I am aware that you're here. The fly spray is coming out once this stream is done. You will meet the end of your life. Again, it's in the no seasons. Don't know if Mr. Con Harrison, apologies, is any, knows what he's talking about, anything, no disrespect. But for what it's worth, he said Arsenal submitted a bid for West Ham midfielder Declan Rice today, which is Monday, people. Thought to be at least 80 million with 10 million in add-ons. So that's 90. If they want 100, maybe they say, you know what, we'll have that. Or do they want others? So we have to see. And that's a follow-up tweet from where he initially said on the 8th of June, Arsenal have been talking with West Ham for months regarding Declan to keep good relations. They left it until West Ham season's officially over. Now ready to put in an offer which could reach as high as 90 million as the first proposal. Terms already agreed 170k base, making him up there in terms of base salary with Saka, rightly so, really and truly. Ben Jacobs has said Arsenal and Chelsea once again to try again for Caicedo. It will cost at least 70 million guaranteed plus 80 million plus 10 million in add-ons, taking it to around 80 is what he's alleged to have said, whether you believe him there or anywhere. West Ham will lose captain Declan Rice this summer. Arsenal want a deal done fast and for under 100 million. Plan was always to move this week following the Conference League final. Fabrizio Romano, whatever this means, has said Declan Rice to Arsenal is at match point, so maybe that means we're in the driving seat. He's also said, I think it's going to be very difficult to see Declan Rice at West Ham next season. Arsenal have submitted an official proposal and are at match point. Again, allegedly, where Balogun is concerned, he's also been linked with Juventus, people. Talks between Arsenal, Sky Sports has said, talks between Arsenal and Balogun's reps continue over the striker's future. There is strong interest from the Premier League and in Europe in Balogun. He has 2 years left on his contract. The 21-year-old scored 21 league goals, I think 22 odd in all comps, on loan at Reims last season and wants regular first-team football moving forward. Can't blame you for that. It's a good thing. Allegedly, Saliba has agreed a 4-year deal with the option of a 5th year. Apparently, Bayern Munich and Manchester United were sniffing around him, according to RMC Sport journalist Fabrice Hawkins, people, which just shows, you know, how talented the 22-year-old is and his future in the game. Speaking of defenders, we were linked with this lad the last couple of windows before he actually went to Sporting Lisbon, but allegedly Arsenal have made an approach for Sporting Lisbon defender Osman Diamande. Now, we all saw him play in the Europa League against us. We need a centre-half, you know, didn't know too much about him when he spent time in Midtjylland, watched him play against us, and he seems quite decent. And when you watch, I only watch Portuguese football highlights and compilation videos and the occasional game, literally haven't watched that many. He looks decent. So if Arteta does want him and this is anything more than paper talk, fair enough, man. He seems like a bit of a rough diamond. He moved to Sporting Lisbon for 7.5 million euros, people. He's got 80 million euros release clause. Realistically, Arsenal are in England. They're going to ask for a proper fee in it. Well, she's even double that. They're probably, even if you gave them 14, 15 odd million quid, they're not going to have it. It seems like it seems like that is the figure Arsenal will have to get to in order to prize him away from the Portuguese giants after an impressive 15 appearances since joining. I mean, 80 million euros, we could probably lie shut to this, people. Juventus have also been credited with an interest in him as well. Again, further confirmation of that little rumor there, whether it's credible, whether it's just leveraging the fact that we were previously interested or allegedly monitoring him, who knows. Once again, Fabrice Hawkins said Saliba and Arsenal have reached an agreement for a contract extension. The Frenchman will sign 4 years plus a 1 year as an option. Several clubs, including Man United and Bayern Munich, were interested. And again, I had to get it there. Sheffield Wednesday have been linked with bringing in Brooke Norton-Cuffy, people. It's unclear as to whether this is on loan or on a permanent basis, but you'd imagine it's more likely to be loan, although it says there's no formal approach yet to be launched. So there's been no offer put at the feet of Brooke Norton-Cuffy, his advisors, or Arsenal Football Club. But you could imagine he would probably go out on loan again, especially if Arsenal sign a right back. And, you know, bitter pill to swallow because Coventry lost the playoff final. You know, the second club he spent time at last season, so we'll have to see. Reece Nelson is apparently signing a 4-year deal, also with the option of a 5th, and he'll get a signing on bonus of 5 million quid and a new 100k salary. Must be nice. You know, if we were to talk about players coming into the club, we have to talk about the players that are at the club. According to Kaya, who's a journalist of Football London, big him up because he does quite a good job. Apparently, Tomiyasu, Martinelli, Zinchenko, and El Nene will be fit or set to join some part of pre-season, which is great. As you know, we're preparing to initially stop off in Germany. We're obviously going to spend time in America, where we'll play Man United and Barcelona. There will be a midweek Emirates Cup, and then we've got the Community Shield, and the season's back upon us, people, before we know it. We were previously linked with Gabby Vega. Them links seemed to have gone cold. But for what it's worth, Fabrizio Romano on him has said, nothing decided. Gabby Vega's future, despite the rumours of a deal done with Newcastle a few days ago. The race to sign the Spanish top talent is open. Liverpool also informed on the conditions of the deal. Their scouts monitored Vega this year. His release clause is 40 million euros, people. Bayern Leverkusen on Granit Xhaka, optimistic they can complete a deal for midfielder Granit Xhaka. Ideally, Arsenal want to have certainty over replacement before sanctioning the move. So if we can make some progress over Declan Rice or anyone else we bring into the club, Xhaka can return back to the Bundesliga, I'd assume. Juventus, courtesy of Rudy Galletti, has allegedly been credited with an interest in Balogun. He's got a tough decision over his Arsenal future to make, people. If we double down on goal.com, allegedly Perez has confirmed Arsenal's interest in Caicedo of Brighton. I hope he signs for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta wants him. He's got all the tools needed to succeed at Arsenal. The club are willing to pay big money for him, and that's testament to his ability. We've spoken about Reece Nelson. I've spoken about this in previous vids. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, and checking out the previous videos. Arsenal have been credited with an interest in Caicedo of Juventus. Allegedly, they want 60 million. And I know he's got injury concerns, but looking on the bright side, I wouldn't be against that. We've been linked with Cassandra of Leicester, who's a fullback. Obviously, we've been linked with him, Fresneda, and João Cancelo. Every journalist under the sun has said Arsenal have placed a bid / in the process of making a bid for Declan Rice. West Ham were credited with an interest in Emil Smith-Rowe, but there are reports to say we're not letting him go under any circumstances. Telemans is signed for Aston Villa. That's one less rumour for the journalist to make up. We're still interested in João Cancelo and Caicedo, allegedly. So it's more or less the same names. We've been linked with Kai Havertz as well. That seems to have gone cold. Fresneda, the same. So we'll have to see, people. But on that note, let me know what you lot think of everything discussed. Appreciate you lot for tuning through to the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Follow me on all my social media pages. Links are in the description. Stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll be back again with our next video.
Because you always use that active red light defending. I think it's like